So listen, how many we've heard about self-talk and how that it has an impact on us. But what about or what if I told you that positive self-talk can actually change our structure, our DNA structure? You know what I'm saying? That's like, and there's been studies about this too, where people have taken positive words and put it on like glasses or glass of water, and it actually changes the structure of the water. And they have done it with negative words, and it actually changed it also in the negative. All right. So today we're going to discuss about the power of self-talk and the message in water, really based off of the book, the message, the hidden message in water. All right, and how positive uh, talking or reinforcements actually can change your body structure as well. So back in 2024, researcher named Emoto published a book called the Hidden Message in Water. The idea was just basically that what he did was he put labels like love, gratitude on it and then freeze it in something cruel like hate, bigot, and took two samples of water and actually freezed it, right? And what they can, and then he took a photograph, and then what he actually did when he found out was the water that was exposed to the positive reinforcements actually had a beautiful symmetry to it, almost like a snowflake effect. And then the ones that had the negative words, they were symmetrical. They weren't as even. It wasn't as pretty or anything like that. You know what I mean? So that's something in itself right there. So let's apply that same principle to ourselves, right? You know what I mean? So the body is approximately, some say 60%, or I'll say 70, but anywhere from 60 to 70% your body is made of water. So let's take that same concept and apply it to us, right? So now, of course, we're gonna get to the science part. I'm not gonna go too much um with myth and all that kind of stuff because he didn't have much peer review, but I do believe that there is a science to it. All right. So Emoto's experience wasn't really validated and by real evidence. You know what I mean? So the photography of the crystals, which was the way they shot it, it leads the door to open the biasness, right? Because he captured and selected, and there was thousands of photos taken, according to the research, right? And only a small hand-picked set ever made it to the book, right? So I'm not saying that it legitimized his research, but it does say something, right? So you have to be a little skeptical there with that, right? But but let's look at it as if you like. I'm pretty sure we all been kids before, right? We all been children, and our parents yelled at us, and sometimes you be like, "You're an idiot. You're XYZ." You probably not my parents, but you know what I'm saying? Just use that as an example. How did that make you feel? Your posture start changing, you start crouching over, you start hanging your head. You're not looking so empowered. It like disempowered you, right? It's the same thing if they gave you encouraging words, the opposite effect. You feel like some hope, you feel a little bit lighter, etc. Right? So, in that aspect, I don't believe it's pseudoscience because that's real because we deal with it every day. That's why people be caught up in their feelings. Oh, it's how you said it. It's how you made me feel. All right. So let's get into it, right? So now, when it comes to sports psychology, has been studied about self-talk since long before it was a wellness buzzword, right? Athletes who use short, structured self-talk phrases like, drive through the hill or one more controlled, consistently outperform athletes who say nothing or who are left unfiltered negative thoughts run the show. So this isn't positive thinking as a vibe. So don't think this is just cliche. This shit really works. That's why some of them would say, or you had an interview with Bruce Lee, and he's talking about be mindful what you say to yourself. And a lot of neuroscientists, they'll say the same thing as well. All right. Because it connects, because it's a language functioning like an instruction set for your nervous system. So you're really connecting with your body. And on scripture level as well, it also says that in the beginning was the word, and the word was God, the word was with God, and then it became flesh. So everything starts with a word. You see what I'm saying? So I hope you get my drift and why this is very important too, as well. Right? So the right words at the right moment shift focus, change how the effort feels, and help you sustain output longer than willpower alone could ever. So you got to do these like these reinforcements. Even before I lift heavy weight, I would say something. I ain't gonna tell you what I say, or I'll tell you one thing. I'll be like, "Oh, there is no spoon," or something to reinforce that I can do this. Because especially if it's a weight I never lift before and I know it's a little heavy, I'm like, "Oh, okay, this is gonna take this for a ride." That little will get me going because sometimes I'll just hold the weight and just keep rocking with it, you know. So it's not like a magic pill, like all of a sudden you're gonna sit there and bust through whatever you're going through, but it does um give you more attention and the psychology responding to the language, and your brain doesn't always distinguish between a coach's voice and your own internal one. So you have to be your own internal clock as well. All right. All right. So also, when it comes to the mindset and physiological response to it, there's a research at Stanford, Elia Crum, who spent years studying how you frame a physical or stressful event can change your body actual responding, how your body responds to it. A well-known study, hotel housekeepers were simply told that their daily work qualified as solid exercise. Same job, same movement, and over time, measurable fitness markers improved more than in housekeepers who weren't told that. So nothing about the work changed. It's just the internal narrative. And that's real powerful. The question you have to ask yourself is, how do you see yourself? Do you see yourself as a weak, fragile individual that's always depending on somebody or needs validation from the outside world? Or are you the opposite? Someone who's self confident, who has an internal clock, know where they're going, um, and who knows what they want, right? That's the beauty I like with life too. You know what I'm saying? I tell my clients this when I train them: the person who can and the person who can't, they're both right. So it's all about the mindset and the approach. That's why we always say, "What's your intention? Like, what you trying to get out of this?" And it all comes to when it's self-talking. Even if you lose your way or you get a little shaky, if you do positive reinforcements, it will change your posture. Like, yo, I can do this. Instead of saying I can't, I can. I have several clients where I will tell them, do XYZ, because I'm gauging them, right? Whether it's online or, well, mostly in person because I do hybrid, right? So when I'm in person with them and I put the weight on for them and they're telling me, oh, I can't do this. I'm like, you didn't even try it yet. Oh, but I know. I said, how do you know? You didn't try it. Next, you know, they're repping the weight for 15 times. Oh, I didn't know I could do that. I said, yeah, because you didn't try. I said, even if you are unable to do it, you already approach it with a self-defeating attitude. As the saying goes, your attitude determines your altitude. So you always want to think highly of yourself, but not in a false, grandiose perspective where you're disillusioned, in an unhealthy way. That's what I'm getting at, basically, you know? So back to the housekeeping, right? So with the housekeepers, the exercise patterns were the same. The same thing when you exercise, right? So it's sometimes people actually do pseudoscience where they give them a boost or energy drink, and it won't be nothing, be sugar water, and next they're doing all kind of stuff like that because there's something internally that they believed, right? That they align their feelings with their thoughts with, and that's another topic I'll get into another day. But I have spoken it before, and if you read Joe Dispenza's books, he talks about that. But there's a way that you can align your feelings with your mind, and you can create a better outcome. Just because your mind doesn't know the difference from reality and what's false. That's why actors can cry some actors, if they're really good, they can cry on a whim when they're acting, or you see an actor that's so good on screen, you like, damn, this motherfucker got me believing he the character for real. Because they made you connect with them. You can actually go through the emotions. That's good acting. That's another science as well. All right. So it's like that. So, like I said, here it says that your brain isn't being tricked exactly. It's recalibrating effort and a resource allocation based on what it believes to be true. All right. So, the real version of the water experiment, not molecules rearranging because you yell at them, it's your nervous system quietly recalibrating based on a language and belief every day, usually without you noticing it's ever happening, you know? Mm-mm-mm. So, keep that in mind. All right. So, here are three things I'm gonna leave you guys with so that you can actually go change your molecular structure. Right? So one, you got to decide your cue before you need it. Don't wait until you're under the bar or under a deadline, the pressure to figure out what you say to yourself. Pick it in advance, controlled one more. Just start. You know, whatever fits the moment. But you gotta go. That's one thing. All right. Two, separate observation from judgment. This set is hard is information. And that's true because there's times I will start saying to myself, oh, this is hard. I'm feeling, then my arms will start to fatigue. Then I'm like, oh shit, I can't lift anymore. So I have to counter that thought with, I can keep doing this. I can keep going. Like one of the lines I love from Captain America, Captain America is he's like, oh, I can do this all day. And Kevin Gates was like, oh, I don't get tired. That's the mindset. Even David Goggins, there's one where he's bench pressing and he's like, you don't know me, son. And he just keeps repping. You don't know me, son. You got to talk to yourself like that. All right. Because your body responds differently to each one, and even when the physical event is identical. Number three, borrow the housekeeping study. Reframe what you're already doing instead of waiting to start something new. So the walk you already take, the stairs you already climb, what you call it matters as much as the act itself. All right. So just a shift in language too and thought could lead to empowerment. And when it comes to words too, that's why they call it spelling, because you're casting spells. So we have to be very careful with the words that we use, and we have to be more intentional with the words we're using as well to get our point across. All right. Like Rick Ross says, words work magic. There's nothing on my back but the delicates of fabrics. All right. So we got to keep that in mind. All right. So you don't need to know this. Uh, all you got to do, you don't got to go into no mountain or no secluded area, like do some journal, perfect water, or retreat in the mountains. You just need to notice the sentence running in your head and asking yourself if you let your coach talk to you that way, because you got to be your first coach. You know what I'm saying? But that comes from a level of awareness as well. And that's what we're all about here at Alchemy Fitness, right? So does the talking to water change shape? Some will say absolutely not, but I believe so to a degree. That's my personal belief. But as far as science, it really doesn't say that. But if you do talking to yourself changes you, then the answer is yes. So I think it is correlated, right, with the water as well. So, but you got to be consistent in doing it and being positive in what you're saying to yourself, because you are powerful. And I tell clients this all the time, and it's a reminder to myself: you're more stronger than you think you are. You know, that's why I love about the weight room, because it's a metaphor for life. You see what I'm saying? You're going to learn more about yourself during this journey than anything else that you'll occur, because the world is a gym. It is a weight room. The way how we handle stress. Are we going to put it down, or are we going to run from it? We're going to fight for it, or we going to stay still? We got to make that decision. All right. But it all comes from, how do you see yourself? How do you uh, reinform? How do you talk to yourself? You know what I'm saying? And remember, everything comes from within, then it comes out. All right. So it's never outside in. And this is how people treat you as well. You gotta fall in love with yourself so people can fall in love with you. But even if they don't, you don't care, because you're him, you're her. All right. So uh, so in ways we can actually measure performance, perceived effort, even physiological stress responses. All right. So I think Emoto uh wasn't wrong on the subject. The water, you know what I'm saying? They said the water wasn't listening, but I believe that it is. All right. So, the tools change, the fundamentals don't. Crystals, cues, journal coaches, the tool is whatever get the message through. The fundamental way was the same. What you say to yourself becomes a part of what you build. All right. So keep that in mind. So you guys can tell me the one phrase you actually say to yourself before a hard set, a hard meeting, a hard day. Drop it below. I read every comment. And I like the engagement too, because, it shows that you're not the only one going through these things as well. You know what I'm saying? We always think that we're an anomaly to some degree, but we're all going through the same thing, man. You know what I'm saying? But if this helped you, like, comment, and subscribe. Love to hear you guys' feedback. And if you're looking for a training program to get you from point A to point B in an efficient way, Click the link in the description and get a free consultation, and we see if we're a fit that we can work together. Okay. This is Alchemy Fitness signing off, where we transfer you from lead to gold. Train hard, train smart, and train safe. Peace.